Symposiums are never this full, so everyone always comes for the music, so I'm really appreciative that everyone took the time out. First things first, I just want to also give some thank yous before we start. I just want to acknowledge Jana. You know, this is like really her brainchild, and she like really steered the ship really well. It's taught me a lot about just also this initiative as well, and it's also just shown me how I can create better spaces for people. I want to say thank you to Grindhouse for the space, and I want to also acknowledge the Austrian Cultural Forum. Yeah.
So, where do we begin? Watching Tabafazi, watching Timbokot. You strike a woman, you strike a rock. And, you know, I start this way because, you know, this day is a commemoration of such bravery from a time where it seemed so out of our depths to know our rights, our freedom as a people. And I think it's a beautiful reflection that we're able to sit here in this free South Africa and to also acknowledge that even though it was a powerful movement at the time, that the work is not done. There's still a lot of work to carry in terms of this particular conversation. And so this is what we're doing here today. We're here to commemorate just the bravery of our South African women, the courage, the strength, and we're also here to hopefully eradicate the silencing of women, which is very prevalent, especially in this modern time, sadly. But, you know, we have hope, and this is what we're here to discuss here at this Peace Summit. So I'd like to start. So the topics that we're going to be covering cover gender-based violence, menstrual education, and sexual education. Did I say that? Yeah. We're all getting educated today, so that's pretty cool. And I'd like to start with Ms. Natasha Diedericks. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah. Okay. So firstly, good day, everyone. I really want to take this moment to thank you all for being present in a space like this. I think there's a necessary time to get to collective, to gathering, to have these discussions that we have for too long shied away from. Before I begin, I would really like to honor the reason why we have gathered, in spirit, in stillness, and in solidarity, because today is Women's Day. It's a day to remember, to recognize the countless women who have come before us, but is also still amongst us. Women who have resisted, endured, built, women who have mothered, women who are silenced, but still women who survived. As mentioned, my name is Natasha Diedericks, and I currently work as a research technician and a field work specialist at the SAMRC, which is the South African Medical Research Council. I'm working on a national project that specifically focuses on severe intimate partner violence and femicide. My role very much involves conducting in-depth interviews with women who are affected by IPV and are at high risk of becoming a rate of femicide. I conduct these interviews and also contain women, give them the necessary support that they need, and refer them to the services to assist them in their situation. A lot of my work, I engage with stakeholders like court systems, police stations, and shelter spaces. But primarily, you will find me on the ground, as this is where I would find women who otherwise wouldn't have been identified. My role really, to me, it's not just a job. It's a personal and professional bridge that I have built, where I really do hope to use the analytical tool of research with the lived realities and experiences of a woman to strengthen systems and create support for women and children in South Africa, to give them the safety that they do deserve. And the need couldn't be as urgent as now. Currently in South Africa, violence against women is not an exception, it's merely the norm. 1 in every 3 women have experienced physical violence by an intimate partner. And just in the last 3 months last year, or in 3 months of last year, we saw rates of almost 1,000 women dying during that time, mostly by the hands of a man that they trusted, that they lived with, and who they loved. We live in a country where femicide is amongst one of the highest rates in the world. And sadly, the reality is 1 in every 5 only get a conviction, even less. These are not abstract statistics. These are very much silent, stolen lives of our sisters, our daughters, our mothers, and our neighbors. This is not a looming crisis. It really is a reality that we are facing in our country. Recently, I was very privileged enough to meet the First Lady of Austria, and in preparation for that, I had read some of her book. And one question from that book that really stayed with me was the question of, how can we encourage women to dare to step forward? And I found myself really returning to that question again and again. And I do believe that one way we can encourage women to stepping forward is changing what stepping forward looks like and who gets recognized when they do that. Because every day in my work, I encounter women who are very, very brave, extraordinarily so, more than I would call myself. They're not stepping onto podiums or into leadership roles, but they merely are simply choosing to speak, to stay, to leave, and to heal. And these are acts of courage. These are steps being taken forward by our women in our country. They deserve to be seen, they deserve to be celebrated, and they definitely deserve to be supported. And that's why it's also important to note that it's not just asking women about stepping forward, but creating spaces for them to step into. These spaces are not necessarily what normal leadership spaces would look like, but where presence can be powerful, where survival is a sense of strength, and pain, it's not hidden, but it is honored. When a woman chooses to heal rather than hide herself, it doesn't just save herself. It interrupts the cycle that I believe generations before her were endured to suffer in silence. Her courage becomes a future rewritten for others. So today, I'm not here to speak about the horrific statistics, but they are a reality. But I would like to speak about the hope that I've often seen in women when encountering them in my workspace and outside. To the women who continue to rise in the face of even unimaginable violence. To the work that still needs to be done, not just by researchers or activists or or politicians, but the work that needs to be done in our communities and through us as a collective. Because when one woman steps forward, she does carry many with her. She makes space for a new kind of cycle, not in harm, but in renewal. And that will have rhythm to return. It's the kind of cycle that reminds us that what our bodies carried, what we have gone through and survived, what we have created, can be something very powerful, not just some pain. And that's what I would like to encourage in you today, is to nurture this type of new cycle for women and children in our country. And thank you for listening to me.
Yeah, it's interesting, and I think I like that we start at this particular space because, I don't know how you guys feel, but personally, I think it's a very pertinent time, especially right now, because we have social media, we have so many platforms that can give voice and anchor hope for people. I think it's very important that we start this way because we need to understand our reality as a country. I think we're so caught up in partying and making music and wanting to be artists, and that's beautiful. But I think there's also a certain necessity towards understanding why it's important that we know these type of statistics. And if it scares you, then that means that, we need to do something, It's not about shifting blame. It's not about being angry at people. It's about creating an environment where our generation of children that are going to come into the fold don't even really register that as a reality, you know. And I'd like to thank you, Natasha, for sharing that, for sharing your piece with us. So I don't really have any questions, because I think the reason I don't is because like I also want to just process what you said. And also, by the way, when this is done, you guys, the floor will be open for questions. So if you do have a question for Natasha or Miss Jessica or Ms. Nqobile, please feel free to ask it. That being said, we'll move on to...
I just want to
right.
shift this.
Oh, right.
There you go. It's your time to shine.
I'm gonna give it to... wait, how do we do it? Actually, I'm just gonna give it to you.
Just put it on this side.
Also, there's pins in the front. You can get pins. They're really cool pins.
They might take it points forward.
You can go in.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Nqobile. I am a visual artist specializing in performance art. I also see myself as an activist to some extent, because just being in this space also allowed me to reflect on the work that I did. In 2022, because I study visual art, and we were given a task to basically create feminist posters. And for me, it was important to create something that actually engages with our realities. And whenever we'd go to bathrooms, I was not happy with the fact that we have free condoms in bathrooms, but we don't have free pads. And it's like, I can't control my flow. I don't choose to bleed. But because today I've been asked to speak about the menstrual cycle, I also realized how it's important for us as well as women to connect with our own bodies and basically understand the cycles that happen and understand the rhythm. So I've chosen to approach this not just with science, but with story, with rhythm, with reflection, because this is not just anatomy. It's about us and our sacred vessels. It's about how we live in these bodies, how we relate to them, and how we reclaim them. So today I offer you something personal, poetic, and scientific, an invitation for us all to remember that our bodies are not a problem to solve. They are rhythms to listen to. When we begin to understand the menstrual cycle, we begin to understand ourselves better. That understanding is a kind of power. It brings us closer to the rhythm that pulses beneath our skin. It teaches us that our bodies are not broken. They are communicating, shedding, rising, preparing, and holding. When we fight our cycle, it feels like resistance, like we are battling a shadow. But when we meet it with care, when we slow down and listen, we begin to move with it. We learn to dance with it. There's peace in that meeting, because even when the pain comes, and yes, for many of us, period pains, we don't have to feel shame. We can feel attuned, aware, and connected. So let's talk about what actually happens in the body, because this rhythm is a monthly process. It's not random. It's an intelligent hormonal dance that begins in the brain. This cycle occurs for roughly 28 days. To start off, it's important to understand that the brain's role, where the cycle begins. In the brain, we have the hypothalamus, which releases the GnRH, also known as the gonadotropin, releasing hormone. This signals the pituitary gland located in the brain to respond by releasing two key hormones, being the FSH, the follicle-stimulating hormone, and the luteinizing hormone. And these two hormones tell the ovaries what to do, and together they create the menstrual cycle, which is phase one, which we're all familiar with. This is the part, the letting go. The bleeding happens, it happens in our bodies when the body sheds the uterine lining. During this time, estrogen and progesterone levels drop and our bodies release what's no longer needed. This phase usually lasts 1 to 5 days. For me personally, 7 to 8. And this phase is a reset, a cleansing, a renewal. Phase 2 is the follicular phase, the preparation. As we bleed, our bodies are already beginning again. The FSH helps an egg mature in the ovary. Estrogen starts to rise, rebuilding the uterine lining. Many of us notice our energy returning as we feel clearer and lighter. There's more movement. And for others, they may not understand why we have these mood swings, but as soon as we connect with our bodies, only then can we be able to move around and for those that are in connection to us, they can also understand our rhythms. Phase 3 is ovulation. It's the offering. This is the moment of release, a surge or nudge of the luteinizing hormone. This causes the ovary to release a mature egg. This is ovulation around day 14 in the 28-day menstrual cycle. It is the peak of our fertility. Some of us feel it physically, others emotionally. There's a spike, there's a shift in the body. Phase 4 is the luteal phase, the waiting. After the egg is released, the body begins to produce a hormone called progesterone to hold the uterine lining just in case. If no pregnancy happens, progesterone falls, the lining sheds, and we begin again from phase 1, being the menstrual cycle. When we understand this, that our cycle is more than just the period, we begin to see the intelligence of our bodies. Each hormone has a role, each phase has a purpose. Each symptom, whether it be mood swings, fatigue, cramps, all are a signal. And this awareness doesn't just help us track our cycle, it helps us track ourselves. I'd like to end off by saying the menstrual cycle is not just biology, it's a story of letting go and rebuilding, of potential and release, of life choosing itself again and again through us. Let's honor it. Let us advocate through it. Let us move with it in rhythm, in power, and in peace. Thank you.
I love the clap, the fingers snapping. That's so cool. Thank you, Nqobile, for that. Yeah, I think, you know, it's funny, like, so we're doing an initiative for Fano Wano, nah? Where's Jana? Yeah. And in which we are donating pads to the organization. And at first, I was so ignorant that like my friend actually came up with this idea and I shut it down because I thought like, why would we do that? Just because it's Women's Day. But now that you just like clarified also just like the whole process behind the menstrual cycle, which I mean, obviously I was very ignorant on, like, and it just helped me also just understand a bit of like the woman's biological pain. I think, you know, a lot of the times, you know, as men probably get frustrated with our partners, like, like I'm trying my best, but you know, it's deeper. But it's deeper than just trying your best, homie. Like, you know, there's a lot of things going on. So I'd just like to say thank you for educating us on that. So now I'm going to hand over to Ms. Jessica Adams, who is going to give us sexual education. And I think before she begins, I think this is also very pertinent as well, because I mean, I think we're also ignorant as a youth generation around this. And I don't think we take it as seriously as we should, you know. Like guys, like, you know, we can do it safely, you know what I'm saying? And we can do it correctly, and we can do it with honoring the partners that you have, if you do have partners. If you don't, then also learn from this as well. So please, Ms.
And I
Jessica.
missed the introduction because of fiddling with the microphone.
That's fine.
Yeah, let's talk about sex. Right. So just a word about me. So I am a sex counselor and educator. I wasn't always that. So I'm going to give you guys a bit of the backstory of how I ended up doing what I do. I studied education, and I worked in the education sector in Austria for 20 years, and was married to a beautiful human, 3 kids, and woke up one day realizing that I really do not enjoy the sex that I'm having. I'm going to keep it very real.
No, for real, let's do it.
And I went looking, and I couldn't believe how hard it was to find what I was looking for. And eventually I came across Betty Dotson, who's no longer alive. She died in her 90s, lived a good, long, pleasurable life. And she was one of the many voices in the States who was advocating for female pleasure. And her program, Body Sex, was all about teaching women to connect to their bodies, to let go of the shame that we carry, to let go of a lot of the trauma that we carry and embrace our pleasure. And I remember thinking, surely this cannot be that simple, because if it was that simple, we would all know about this, right? It was that simple, and I did not know about it. And because of learning about it, first of all, I signed up for her program. I was like, okay, I want to be able to teach everybody what I've just learned, because this is mind-blowing. And then I went on and studied sex counseling because I wanted to. It started out with women's pleasure only. It, over the years, turned into pleasure for everybody, because I learned that it's not just, I mean, it's Women's Day and I'm going to stick to that, but it's not just the female body, but it's actually a collective that concerns us all, because sex is the one topic that concerns us all and that nobody speaks about.
Yeah.
And that is just covered and hidden and like hideous. You can't talk about that. What goes on, I remember my mom saying, what goes on in the bedroom stays in the bedroom. And that's where the problem kind of starts. I mean, you guys were both saying so many things where I wanted to be like, yes, and we can, gender-based violence, bodies, we teach boys that sex drive, that there's a need for going and being sexual, which is nonsense. We're not going to die if we're not going to follow this. It's a desire. It's something that we want. It's not like hunger or thirst. It's not a drive. It's not something that keeps us alive. And the same goes with the cycle and just being in tune with our bodies and our pleasures. So I advocate for pleasure. That's what I do in my work. I want people to find the joy and the fun and the pleasure in being intimate with themselves, with partners, with whomever, however they choose to live their sexuality. And just find peace in it, make peace with their bodies, learn what we weren't taught, and it's not because of us, it's not our fault, we're not to blame for this. I'm working in Cape Town. I've joined a women's health practice with 3 doctors, and I bring in my models. I've got fluffy toys of the vulva and all that I bring along for the clients, and I've got a model of the vulva that has a clitoris that can be removed, which is awesome. Unfortunately, our one, we can't remove it, but my model can. And one of the doctors who studied medicine came in and she looked at it the other day. She said, this is the first time I'm seeing this. Like, this wasn't part of my books. And she's a doctor. She's supposed to, So there are a lot of great doctors, don't get me wrong, that are educating themselves about it, but it is really also our duty to go and educate ourselves and reclaim what was always meant to be ours and what was never meant to be shameful, because it's where our fire sits. It's where where we all come from. So I'm very passionate about changing that narrative and just giving room and holding spaces for pleasure to be allowed. And for it to be something that we speak about, that we acknowledge, that we are allowed to educate ourselves about, and that we are allowed to just claim and embrace and hold in the way that we choose to, without any stigma, without any shame, without anyone pointing a finger and saying what you're doing is wrong, but with us actually being the ones to make the choices. So that's what I do. That's what I burn for.
Yo, man, you don't understand how cool it is that you guys are here, man. Like, these symposiums normally have like 5 people in them. So like, it's so good that at this particular juncture of what we're speaking about, y'all showed up. And it's a step forward for our country. Don't think this is a small feat. Like, this shows that you care about our country, man. And that's why I created the Peace Summit in the first place, because I just wanted a space where we can actually break down the barriers and actually fix our country, man, because I believe in it and I love it so much, like truly to the depths of my soul. Like, and the fact that we're all here in a liberated, democratic South Africa and have the resources, the platforms to reform our country is so important. And you guys did that by like showering, coming here, and like, and then, no, real, dude. Sorry. I didn't mean to put it like that, but you know what I mean. It's like, you guys came out and you came out with the sole the sole purpose of coming here to listen to us express the critical things that are happening in our country and in our communities. And it's very important to me because, I mean, everything that I know about being a man, I've learned from a woman, you know, and I think that's something that at first I thought to myself, well, dang, like my dad sucks. But then I realized that, like, you know, it's just a blessing from our Creator that, like, I was raised this way because I think it was important for me to see the world in a way that I can, in some sense, break a cycle that our predecessors couldn't, or rather perpetuated. So I just like to say thank you so much once again for coming here. Please give a round of applause to Ms. Natasha Diedericks. Please give a warm round of applause to Ms. Nqobile. And a warm applause to Ms. Jessica. And this has been the symposium on the state of our country. And happy Women's Day to all the women in here. You guys are the fruits of the nation, and you're the most powerful, like, part of our nation and our world. So, you know, thank you so much for being in attendance. Please grab some drinks. Miss Say Siren is on the decks, you know what I'm saying? Mr. Vico Mac will start us off at the performances. So yeah, let's mingle and dingle, man. Free the world, man. What's that? No questions. Oh, wait. Sorry, wait, sorry. If you guys have questions, does anyone have questions? Okay, there's no questions. I was just told. Oh, okay, no, okay.
Hi, thank you for your review. I actually listen to the perfect time. So every time I do that review, I have my question. And it's not bad at all. And I feel like I used to think it was PMS, but there's this thing called premenstrual dysphoric disorder, PMPD. It's so under-researched. It's so, and it always just like contraceptives. And then there's the shame around, like, even in my friends or even us, there's a shame around, like, being able to give birth and, like, all of that. Sometimes. But, like, generally, I just want to ask, like, do you know any national remedies to ease the PMD? Like, yeah, that's it.
That's crazy because I'm actually, thank you. I'm actually also on a journey of trying to find like the most ideal contraceptives or how to deal with pain. Because with me, like my period cramps get so bad that sometimes I even vomit. Like I don't even go to school. And it's crazy that like society still expects us to just show up. But I've heard that like there are like natural remedies, like certain teas that you can drink. Because I'm also against contraceptives because they disrupt the rhythm. And sometimes, like I have a friend that like bleeds for weeks, like nonstop. So yeah, I just think that it's still a process. I think like there's more, like indigenous knowledges are also like now being considered as valid knowledge, because oftentimes we go to like Western medicine, and oftentimes all it does is that it just disrupts everything. So yeah, I'm also on a journey of finding that out. Maybe we can help each other, you know? Yeah.
Say something to them.
Sure.
Our bodies are super smart, and I have no idea what it must be like to have excruciating pain like that. But pleasure is built into our bodies for a reason. The fact that we can reach climax, and the research that is being done, I'm not pulling this out of my pocket, the research that is being done clearly shows that it is a natural painkiller and very well works, counterbalances what else our body is experiencing. And it works. But yeah, I don't want to.
Yeah, that's interesting.
All right, we got a question over here.
What is the percentage of femicide in South Africa, and what is it for you to experience it every single day?
Okay, thank you. So currently, we did a study last year that to do the study, it's quite a complicated process, but it involves going to mortuaries and identifying and, police stations, accumulating their statistics, their caseload, because it's quite a difficult process to actually identify what is a femicide. When I speak about the statistic, I also just want to clarify that when I say intimate partner violence, it's a partner of any sorts. It could be same-sex marriages, partner. So I'm not just saying all men. So currently the statistic stands at 60% of all murders, intimate partner murders, are committed by, murders are committed by intimate partners. And for myself, I usually say I hate my job, but I love my job. I love what I do. I hate that I need to do it. And that really does keep me going. I don't want to do anything else. I don't think you could pay me more to do a simple job that wouldn't have an effect for the future. I believe that I only exist through our communities, and this is a way for me to exist the way that I just want to, is by doing this work. So that's currently the very horrific statistic that we recently, last year in 2024, after 30 years of researching this, was the latest statistic that did come out. However, statistic is merely just a number, and not all lives are accounted for. So it's a rough patch to say that's what it is. But nonetheless, you got happy when you got a 60 at school. So it's quite horrific to put it in a way of people's lives, And yeah.
Wait, sorry, I know we're running out of time. I have a question, right? And I'm asking this on behalf of the men, because the reason I'm asking this question is because, like, with menstrual cycle and period pains, right? I want to know as a man, like, if I have a partner, what is the best way in my capacity to make your life easier in that space? Because I feel like there's always an ignorant way to do it, and I think just to alleviate, I suppose, misunderstanding, miscommunication, and frustration between two people, what are the best ways for men to sort of create a space where we can be there for our women or our mothers, or whoever? Well, we don't own women, but you know what I mean.
I'm not gonna lie, for me, like I've been privileged to have someone be there for me for the first time. Just like the little things, like cravings, right? Like sometimes we have cravings, like crave chocolate or
just a bunch of stuff. Like just get her things that will make her feel good. Also, hot water bottle kind of helps like ease the pain. You can like make her some tea, rub her feet, like massage her abdominal area, maybe do some yoga with her. Like I found that also kind of helps. Yeah, like think about it this way. Like if you had period cramps, like what is the best way that you would want to like soothe yourself? Like think of it from that perspective. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I hope that answers.
No,
Yeah.
it does actually. It does. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen and non-gender conforming individuals, thank you for coming to the Peace Summit. Let's have some fun, man. Thank you, everybody.